Hey guys, welcome to another video from eWaste Profits. In today's video, I wanted to show you how to move a Windows 7 PC into a virtual machine. And this is useful. I have a lot of customers that, for various reasons, are still running a Windows 7 machine. And it could be a machine that they've been using for the last 10, 15 years. And, they just don't want to give it up. And you also have customers that are running software that they just can't find anymore, and they're just running that Windows 7 machine and keeping it alive because that software is running their business. So it's a very common thing that I run into, and I'll give you two different scenarios where it might be a good idea and it might be a bad idea. The first one is I have customers that might be running software. Like one customer I ran into a few weeks ago was running QuickBooks 2006 on a Windows 7 laptop. And the laptop, the CPU fan is failing. It's making noises. So I know it's just a matter of time before that laptop is on its way out. So in that instance, it'd be a good idea to recommend for that customer to move that whole instance onto a virtual machine, and they could run it on one of their Windows 11 PCs, and whenever they need to run that software. Where it wouldn't be a good idea is I have a lot of customers that have a Windows 7 PC that's interfacing with a piece of hardware, like a CNC metal machine, or like an auto body shop that has an alignment machine, and that might be directly connected through a serial port. And when they're controlling that machine, it needs to use that serial port. And I'm not saying it's not doable. I'm just saying there's some more challenges where you might need to set up a USB to serial port pass through, and you might have to do a lot of testing. So in those cases, you might want to think about that type of a setup before you propose that to your customer. So in order to do this, I'm basically breaking it down into two different steps. The first step is using Disk2vhd on the Windows 7 machine to make a copy of the entire PC to a disk image. And the second step is to set up VirtualBox. Now, in order to do this, you're going to need a external hard drive or SSD to store the virtual disk image from the Windows 7 machine. And so I'm using 120 gigabyte SSD, but you got to make sure that you check to see how big the actual disk size is before you copy everything so that you have enough space. And what I did ahead of time is I moved or copied the Disk2vhd software, which was right here, the Disk2vhd software, on a USB drive, and I also put VirtualBox on a USB drive as well. This way, when you show up at your customer's office, you're prepared. You don't have to spend time looking it up, or you might have a machine that's not even online for security reasons, or maybe the machine just isn't connected because maybe they never needed to connect it online. But either case, at least you have all the software ready to go. You don't have to go and now figure out how to connect that PC to be online. So I did a screen capture on a Windows 7 test box here, and the first thing I'm doing is I'm running the Disk2vhd software, and I copied the software over to the desktop, and now I'm going to run the Disk2vhd. I'm running the 64-bit version. And you just want to uncheck the use VHDX. I saw that in other tutorials where you uncheck that. And right now what you want to do is select all of your partitions on your C drive. So here there's two partitions. I have the system reserved partition and the main C drive partition. And you want to make sure to deselect any other drives that you got there. Like I had a storage drive and the driver's USB drive. So what I'm doing is I'm double checking by opening up my disk manager and to make sure that there is in fact two different partitions on my main drive, my Windows 7 drive. So what I'm going to do now is select where I'm going to store it on my storage device. I'm going to navigate to my SSD that I plugged in. I'm just going to call it Windows 7 old PC. And once you got everything checked, double check, make sure you have all the partitions, and then just click on create. And depending on the amount of data you have, mine took probably about 40 minutes or so. But if you have an old hard drive, it could probably easily take maybe an hour or two, maybe even 3 hours. You might want to make sure your PC isn't set to go to sleep, so it doesn't fall asleep halfway through the copy. So you might want to go into the power management in Windows 7 and just set the PC to not sleep while you're doing this. And make sure you don't have anything else open, because it is copying everything on the drive, so you don't want to be working on stuff. So make sure you have all the browsers and everything closed, and just let it finish. So I'll just fast forward here and go to my next video. So once it finishes, you're going to see disk export to VHD completed successfully. That's what you want to see. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to go and check just to make sure this one is 27 gigabytes. So make sure that matches the size of your data. And as far as the Windows 7 is concerned, everything is done here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next step, step 2, which is bringing everything over to your Windows machine. And that could be Windows 10, Windows 11, doesn't matter. Okay, so now I'm here on my Windows 11 test machine, and I tried installing VirtualBox, and I thought this would be important to note is you will need to, you might need to install the Microsoft Virtual C++ 2019 redistributable. I'll put a link to that in the description. So if you do need that, you'll make sure you have that installed before you proceed, because that might throw a curveball in your installation. So I went down, downloaded that, and so once you do that, then you can proceed with the installation. Install everything. It's just a standard install. And then before you run VirtualBox, you might want to make sure you have your external drive plugged in, or you've moved the virtual file, the Windows 7 machine file, to the PC that you're going to run it on, or just keep it on that external storage device. So here I'm finishing everything, and I'm going to run it for the first time. So here what we're going to do is you're going to click on, I accidentally clicked on add, but you're going to click on new right here. You're going to click on new virtual machine. And then when you click on new, you're going to give it a name, This doesn't really matter. You just click on, I made Windows 7 old PC. And VirtualBox is going to automatically detect that, and then they'll put in the version that this virtual machine is going to be using. Just make sure if you have a 32-bit version to make sure it matches the version that your PC had, so that it will run properly. So once you're done with that, just go to the next screen. Here, this will allow you to allocate the memory and the amount of cores that are going to be associated with this virtual machine. For the most case, it's probably not going to matter if you're just running it for the first time, because you could always go in and change this and allocate more memory based on what you're using. I just left it here at 2 gigabytes, but if you wanted to change that to 4 gigabytes, you could do so. When you check the use external hard disk file, you're going to click on here to select your actual file. Now what you want to do is click add and then navigate to your file, which mine is on my storage device. Click open and then choose on the bottom right. And that's it. You click on next. And this just gives you an overview. Just click on finish. Now you're pretty much ready to go. What you're going to do is click on the start button, and that's going to boot the virtual machine for the first time. Mine came up with the recovery. I don't know why this happens, but just click on start Windows normally. And there you go. It starts to the desktop, and you can fiddle around with the resolutions to match whatever you need. Mine went online right away because I forgot to check that. And you'll see I'm just playing around with some of the settings just to make sure everything's set the way I want it. So there's a way where you can change the preferences. Like you can go into scaled mode, so you can make it bigger or smaller if you wanted to. And you'll see I'm going to go in and see if I could change the resolution. So right now it's set to 800 by 600. I'm going to try to set it to the highest setting and see what it looks like. And there you go. You got everything just the way you had it, and your customer can pretty much start and stop this machine anytime they want. I'm just checking all the stuff to make sure it still works. See, mine's online, but I'm going to go and turn it offline. I'm going to show you how to do that. And that's what I would actually recommend, is to not run these things online unless you really have to. Just for security reasons, it's usually a bad idea anyway. The only reason you'd need it online is if you're still using it with printers and stuff, and you had to use it for like printing invoices or something. But so if you click on X and close it, there's two options. You could save the machine state, or you could shut it down. Right now I'm going to shut it down. And right now I'm going and turning off the network. So on the network tab in the settings, you just uncheck the enable network adapter, and you could restart it. And then I was just testing to make sure other things were working. You'll see I'm going to go into the settings in a few seconds and change the memory allocations. And you can also shut it off and pause it. Basically, they call it save machine state. And basically what that does is it just freezes the machine. That takes a little bit longer when you're turning it off and turning it back on. But you'll see I do that in a sec. And that's kind of cool because if you were if you had a bunch of stuff open and you wanted to like leave it exactly as is, you can do that. It's a neat feature that I like, especially if I had a bunch of stuff open. And I'm just going into the disk just to see what it looks like. So we still got the C drive there. It says 111 gigabytes, but in reality, it's not that big. So here I'm doing save machine state just to show you what it looks like. So it saves the whole file, and when you start it, it reloads that file and everything's exactly the way it was. If you have an SSD, it'll be pretty fast. And then you'll see I'm going to shut it down. If you wanted to make changes to the memory and core allocation, you do have to shut the machine down. You can't save the machine state. So what I'm doing here is I'm shutting it down, and then you can go ahead and change that. So guys, I hope you like this video, and this is Windows 7 going to a virtual machine, but in reality you can use this with anything. You can use this with a Windows 10 machine, you can use this with a Windows 8 machine, or even a Vista, or some of the older machines. Like I've even done this with Windows XP machines. And I have some customers who've had like maybe 4 or 5 different PCs sitting in their garage, and they put all of them into different virtual machines so that this way they can finally get rid of all that old hardware and trash it. And now they have a nice way to boot this up, so if they forgot something and they wanted to go back and see what was there, they could do that. And these days there's plenty of storage, so it's not really a big deal if you have several machines all sitting on one storage device. It makes it very easy and convenient. And the other cool thing is you can move these virtual machines around. So if the customer is using a Windows 11 machine and maybe Windows 12 came out, you can move this right over to their machine, no problem. And you can make copies of this machine too. So if you wanted to make a backup of this, you could have several copies on USB drives, or you could put it on network attached storage. So that's what I like about the virtual machine option for customers, is you're basically, you can trash their old machine and they've got this now. They can make backups. They're never going to lose it. You know, you can always run it on new hardware. Like if they're going on vacation, they can move it onto their laptop and run it off their laptop. I mean, it's so flexible. So if it works for them, this can actually be a good viable solution. So guys, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope this helps you with your next project. And if you want to see some more videos, I should have some more coming in the near future. Just make sure to subscribe so you get those videos, and I'll see you on the next one.